All right, folks, it's 11:32. We've got a fair number of people gathered, so I will get things started. I am George Altman. I'm Managing Director at Vets Indexes, and I will be hosting today's webinar. This is our first webinar on the new 2022 Vets Indexes Employer Awards. Shouldn't take too long. I've got a short presentation that I'll run through, and probably 20, 25 minutes. There'll be some time for questions at the end. Please, as questions occur to you, just type them into the chat. Hopefully you see the chat function should be available to you, and I will answer at the end of this webinar all questions over the chat. And you can also get me to answer questions at any time just by emailing me. Survey@vetsindexes.com, survey@vetsindexes.com will always work to contact me, and I'm always happy to help, so don't be shy. So with that, let's get things started. I know most of you are familiar with us, but we do have some newcomers. So for their benefit, a very quick introduction of who we are and what we do. We are Vets Indexes. We're headquartered in New York City. And I think of our company basically as a three-legged stool. We have sort of three main functions that we do. First is the financial side. We are an independent provider of ESG indexes, specifically focused on veteran employment. If you are from the financial services industry, you were probably following all of that. If not, that might not have made sense. So let me give you a little more explanation. ESG investing is investing that, in addition to seeking to make some sort of investment income, investment return, also seeks to affect some positive change in the world in the areas of either E, the environment, S, society, or G, corporate governance. Our part of that, veteran employment, falls across the S and the G. The good it does for society to hire veterans, and also the good it does for the corporate governance of the organization hiring the veterans, if they are hiring these high quality, high talent folks and elevating them to positions of authority within their organizations. So that's the first leg of our stool. The second leg of our stool is our semi-annual Employing U.S. Vets Conference, which I hope most of you all are familiar with from our conference we held just a few weeks ago, October 14th. We had our fall conference, amazing turnout there. We had nearly 1,000 people register for the conference. Of those registrants, better than 60% showed up day of. These are amazing numbers. It's a really great event sharing best practices related to veteran employment. So if you're not familiar, please do check that out. Our next conference is going to be held in person as well as virtually at the New York Athletic Club in New York City. So I hope you're able to join us for that, and I'll have a little more information about that conference coming up later. And then finally, the third leg of our three-legged stool, last but definitely not least, it's what we're here to talk about today, is veteran employment data. And this really breaks into two separate categories. First, the Vets Indexes Employer Awards, which is the primary topic of this webinar. And second is an outgrowth of the Vets Indexes Employer Awards. It's a benchmarking service that lets you see in really great detail how your veterans program compares with everyone else's, both all of our respondents and your peer organizations. And you get that not just at a high level, but we can give you question by question, even sub-question by sub-question comparative analytics. Really helpful, really unique thing. And I'm excited to talk more about that soon. And I will on this webinar. But first, let's go into a little more discussion about the Vets Indexes Employer Awards. So at the top level, the Vets Indexes Employer Awards, the primary objective that we're going for here is just to evaluate organizations' veteran employment efforts from the beginning of the process when you're recruiting, getting job applications, hiring and onboarding, through to retention, development, support, company culture, a lot of different areas we cover. Now, you heard me mention previously the financial indexes component of our business. That obviously only relates to publicly traded companies. I think it's very important to emphasize here that for the Vets Indexes Employer Awards, these are open to all. Sure, publicly traded companies, absolutely, but also privately held companies, also government agencies, departments. We have a lot of law enforcement organizations participating, nonprofit organizations, colleges, universities. Bottom line, if you're an organization that cares about hiring veterans, the Vets Indexes Employer Awards are for you. And little information on how these were put together. Obviously, our internal team at Vets Indexes put a lot of work into it. You know, I personally have a decade in the veteran employment space. We have a lot of other great team members at Vets Indexes, but I also think it's important to emphasize what you'll see in the survey and throughout the evaluation process is not just the result of our work at Vets Indexes, but we also were fortunate to get to lean on some of the foremost experts in veteran employment from across veteran service organizations to government agencies at the federal, state, and local levels, to companies large and small, all of whom offered their feedback. We are very grateful for that. Definitely made the process better. So thank you. This is our second Vets Indexes Employer Awards incarnation that we are launching, this month. The previous one we launched November of 2020. They were the 2021 Vets Indexes Employer Awards, and we have the results for those already. So I will give you guys a quick look at our awardees from 2021. I am pulling this directly from our website, and it is in a part of our website that you all can access yourselves. So I'd encourage you to do so. I just put it in the chat, the same chat where you should be able to enter questions, hopefully. So feel free to click that link. But in the meantime, I'll scroll down and just give you a look at our winners. So we have several different recognition levels, starting with the highest, that's Vets Indexes 5-star employers. And you can see our Vets Indexes 5-star employers here, followed by our Vets Indexes 4-star employers, three-star employers, and finally, the Vets Indexes recognized employers. So those are our awardees. Congratulations to all of them. It was not easy to get recognized with these awards. These are organizations that are really standing apart from the pack. So why did those organizations participate last year, and why might it be worth your while to participate in the program this year? Organizations that receive recognition, receive an award, will get an award, news release, and logo as part of that. And this can be helpful in several different areas, most obvious of which is recruiting. This kind of seal of approval, it tells veteran talent that you care about them, that you understand the military and the military community, you understand the talents that they bring, and you are eager to hire them and worth a second look. So this can be an enormous help in recruiting. Also, advertising and marketing. If you are recognized with an award, the award logo accompanying your award is yours to use however you like. Internal communications, external communications, advertising, marketing, we have absolutely no restrictions and absolutely no charges or licensing fees for you to use that logo for any purpose. I think it's important to kind of emphasize that a little bit because there are other veteran employment surveys out there that take a different approach. Bottom line, we think it's very important that the award logo is something that can be earned and can only be earned. It can never be bought. And finally, of course, it's great, everything that organizations are doing for veterans, but if you're doing it all behind closed doors, nobody knows about it, you're not telling anybody about it, you're not getting any recognition for it, you're really not getting the credit you deserve. This can be a great way to let your customers and your business partners know everything that you're doing to support veterans. So at this point, I think it's important to address a few of the most common questions that I tend to get about this survey. First, related to cost, I mentioned we have no licensing fees or charges for our award logo. There is similarly absolutely no cost to participate in any part of this process. From the very beginning, when you're getting the survey, filling it out, getting the invitation, to the middle when we're evaluating you, to the end process when you're receiving the awards and the logo to use. Again, no charge for any of that. We think, this is a program that people should get recognition based on what they're doing for veterans, not based on any sort of charges or fees that an outside organization is going to put in place. This is, I'm not sure how many of you all have worked on other veteran employment surveys in the past, but if you have, they can be very, very long. I've seen like 200 questions, 300 questions, just absurdly long. They go on and on and on. Ours is not like that. It's respectful of your time, only about 65 questions. It's dynamic, so it only shows you the questions that are relevant to your organization based on your survey responses, and can be completed in just a few hours. So shouldn't be too much of a drain on your man hours, hopefully. And finally, very important to emphasize confidentiality. While we only have 65 questions, we are doing our best with those questions to get into some depth with regards to organizations, veterans programs. And that includes asking for information that a lot of organizations would, I think, rightly consider proprietary and would not want their competitors to see, would not want published. We completely understand that. We absolutely respect that. We will not ever publish any information that you provide in the survey. The only thing we would ever publish about your organization is, should you be recognized with an award, the award level you receive, and the name of your organization. That is it. If you would like us to sign a non-disclosure agreement to that effect, we are more than happy to. We have in the past. We are going to do so this year, and we will in the future. Not a problem at all. And one last note related to confidentiality. I talked about our different award levels. There's one that I didn't mention there, and that is not everyone who responds to the survey will actually receive an award. We think it's very important that the Vets Index's employer awards are really reserved for organizations that are differentiating themselves in their veterans programs. And in order to do that, we can't just give a participation trophy to everybody who shows up. This is another area where I think our approach differs from some other veteran employment surveys out there, but we want this to be a meaningful marker of veteran support. And in order to do that, we can't give just everyone a participation trophy. But that being said, we recognize that people participating in the survey are a self-selecting group. And frankly, just the fact that you think it's worth the time to fill out the survey, even to just listen to this webinar, that separates your organization positively from a lot of other organizations out there. So with that in mind, and also thinking about the fact that it's a kind of long-term iterative process to perfect any organization's veterans program, we try to keep this positive. And for that reason, we will never, ever publish the name of any organization that submits a survey seeking to receive an award, but doesn't receive an award. That is held strictly confidential, the same way information provided in the surveys. All right, so with that, let me just kind of take a quick detour from talking about the Vets Index's employer awards to give you a little more information about one of our newest initiatives, the Veteran Employment Benchmarking Service. Basically, what this can do is take the entire survey I've been talking about and show you in granular, exact detail how your survey responses, what you guys are doing in your veterans program, compares to our entire field of survey respondents, and also how it compares to a more narrow selection of your peer organizations with a similar kind of size and makeup. Now, important again to emphasize confidentiality. Everything I just said about confidentiality in the survey applies 100% in the Veteran Employment Benchmarking Service. We have comparative data that puts your responses in context of everyone else's responses, but it's very important to emphasize that data is all aggregate and anonymized. There's no way that any organization can find out information about any other organization through this service. It's only aggregate data. But that being said, that aggregate data can be very useful. We all have limited budgets. We all have to decide how we're going to best allocate our limited resources. And I think this, very granular point by point, item by item information on what you're doing in your veterans program and how it compares with what everyone else is doing can be a great roadmap to help you figure out how to allocate those resources. So I want to show you guys a few screenshots that hopefully will bring this benchmarking service to life a little bit, starting with our heat map. Now, this is kind of like a table of contents. I'll say what you're seeing here and all the screenshots I'm going to show. They use sample data. This isn't any organization's real data. Also, the averages are not the actual averages, but this should give you a very good idea of what the service can do. So what you're looking at here in this heat map shows question numbers here on the left side, question topics, and then the different colors you see here are actually the individual metrics that we can pull from the survey. Also worth mentioning, this is not at all a full list of everything in our benchmarking service. It's less than half, as a matter of fact. We cover a lot of detail here and only so much can fit on a PowerPoint slide. But the one last important item I want to explain on this heat map, the different colors. We set this up similar to a traffic light. Think about green as you're doing great, you're ahead of the pack, all is good. Yellow, you're middle of the pack, maybe some reason for caution. And orange and red, that would be where maybe you should have an alert because you seem to be lagging the field. So this heat map can give you a really great at a glance look at how what your veterans program does compares with everyone else. The real value, I think, is when you move beyond that kind of general heat map and get into the specific granular questions. The screenshots that you should see now on your screen give you, I think, some flavor of the level of detail we can provide. Again, all sample data here, which you're looking at, but the red circles show what your response is. The light blue diamonds indicate your peer group average, and the darker blue squares indicate the overall average. And so you can see, not just at kind of a general level, but at a very specific level, you'll be able to see how your, say, veteran new hire population compares with everyone else, and how your disabled veteran population compares with everyone else. If this were your organization's data, I would be very happy about that 19%, but seeing that 1% with disabled veterans and how that compares with everyone else, perhaps that's an indicator that you should focus more on hiring disabled veterans. Another great example below this focuses on internal promotions and how large a part of the internal promotions veterans have been at your company. Again, really useful data related to development and retention. So those were a couple of data questions we just looked at. We also have multiple choice questions as well, and they look a little different in their output, and this is how they look. So similar to the others, the red indicates your response, white indicates you did not select that, and then the blue squares and diamonds show the overall and peer group averages. This question concerning how applications from veteran applicants are handled. And one last screenshot I want to show you with this benchmarking service. This is a data grid, and shows you the fantastic amount of detail that we can cover here. This question asks about the various programs that you have in place to review your veteran policies and outcomes, asking about employee surveys, internal reviews, and external reviews, and giving several options for frequency. So you can see how your response in red compares with what everybody else is doing in blue. A lot of detail here. Now, important to emphasize that the benchmarking service really is an outgrowth of the Vets Index's Employer Award Survey. It's something that gives comparative data based on the survey response. So for that reason, it's really something that's only available to people who fill out the Vets Index's Employer Award Survey. So with that, let's turn back to the Vets Index's Employer Award Survey, and I'll give you guys some basic pointers on what you'll need to get started. Now, the first thing I would do is recommend that everyone visit a couple of links. First is our frequently asked questions page, which I will take you all to right now. I'm also going to put this page in our chat so that you can see it. So this will cover just about everything in the survey, anything you may need to know. You see, we have a lot of different sections, and this has a lot of information in there. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Would also strongly recommend looking at a blank copy of our survey, which we have here at this link I'm pasting into chat. And if you scroll down, you'll see, just click this image and you can download a full copy of the survey that will show every single possible question and answer option. So that way you'll know what to expect when you're taking the survey online. Now, after you've reviewed those and you are ready to take the survey online, all you have to do is click the unique link that you should have received from an email from Vet Survey. If you cannot find this email, if you can't find your link, no problem at all. I can help you out. Just send me an email, survey@vetsindexes.com. It'll go right in my inbox and I'll get you taken care of. We need all responses back by January 31st, 2022. So about 3 months. So little information here about the survey structure. You see we have 5 main sections. I won't read each of those to you, but those are the subject areas we cover, in addition to a few introductory and conclusory questions. A note also about our question types, which you see on the right. We thought it was very important that this is a survey that makes meaningful apples to apples comparisons between organizations. And a much better way to do that than asking organizations to write paragraphs about how much they like veterans is to get hard data. So our survey is very much focused on hard data. That's the vast majority of our questions. We also have multiple choice questions and a few text entry questions. But we think it's important that this is an objective instrument. We've done our best to create it as such. All right, so a few kind of practical tips for you all as you are filling out the survey. First, please provide as much information as you possibly can. You can skip survey questions, but the more you tell us about what you're doing in your veteran program, the more credit we can give you for what you're doing. And again, if confidentiality is at all a concern, we are happy to sign NDAs, but please provide as much information as you can. You do not have to complete this survey all in one sitting. You can fill it out over multiple sessions. And in fact, your answers are saved every single time you go forward 1 page or back 1 page. When you click either the forward or back arrows, all of your answers are saved. You can close the window and click the link again and pick up right where you left off. So that should make things much easier. Another thing that should make things easier, if your organization filled out the survey last year, we can carry over your survey responses. We have an automated process that does that, should make it much easier to fill out the survey. If you have that, if you did fill out last year's survey and would like a copy that has your previous survey responses, just shoot me an email and I'll get you taken care of. Last but definitely not least, it's important that you guys review your survey answers very carefully before you submit the survey. On the last page of the survey, it'll show you a readback of all of your answers from top to bottom. Give that a good look before you hit the right arrow button on that last page, because once you do, your survey is final and submitted. And one final note for you all, and then I'll turn it over to questions and answers. Again, please, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I will answer them. I want to talk a little more about skipping survey questions. I mentioned previously that most questions in the survey are skippable. There's a few that are mandatory. These are all at the beginning of the survey, and they tend to be very important questions that we really can't make sense of your response without. Things like, what's your organization's name? Classification by size, classification by organization type. Aside from those handful of questions at the beginning, everything else in the survey you can skip if you're unable to answer it, or kind of need to skip past it now and answer it later. But that being said, it's important for me to note that some questions have internal logic applied to them, which basically means the way you answer that question will affect what other questions you see later in the survey. So in this case, if you were to skip a question that has such logic that determines whether a subsequent question shows up for you, because you skip that first question, you will not see the subsequent question. For that reason, it's very important that for all of those questions, and they are labeled very clearly in the survey itself, if you're not able to answer it on your initial run through the survey, please be sure before you submit it that you go back and answer those and any subsequent questions that are relevant for you. Finally, important to note that surveys that have skipped questions or are missing information, we will still consider for reward. So don't feel like you have to be able to answer every question, or you won't win an award, you won't have a chance at an award, you won't even be considered. Not at all the case. Most organizations aren't able to answer every single question. Answer what you can. All right, and with that, I'm happy to take your questions. Before I do that, I'll say if you'd like me to take your questions in this webinar, just put them in the chat and I'll answer them right now. If you'd rather me answer your questions in a less public forum, I completely understand. Just shoot me an email, again, survey@vetsindexes.com. Will go right to me and I'm happy to answer your question. And then one last plug for our Employing US Vets Conference. That again is going to be held in the spring. It's going to be in New York City at the New York Athletic Club. Been a few years since we were able to actually have it in person, thanks to COVID, but we are bringing that back. So hope you can join us. The New York Athletic Club is a beautiful venue right across from Central Park. It's always a great event with top organizations, companies, federal agencies, veteran nonprofits, sharing really practical, useful veteran employment advice. So I hope you're able to join us for that. You can get more information and also see replays from our last conference at the conference website, which is employingusvets.com. I am about to put that into chat right now. So hopefully you all can see that. All right, and with that, I see we do have a couple questions that came in, so let me have a look at those and start getting you guys some answers. Yes, so the first question, sorry if I missed this, did you say that benchmarking information is free or does this have a cost? So we have three different tiers for our benchmarking service. Tier 1 is available free of charge to any organization that submits a completed survey response. What that will include is summary data across our 5 main evaluation categories, which I discussed previously, as well as the sort of granular question by question, metric by metric data that I showed, covering about 10 metrics within our survey. So it's kind of a more limited look. Tier 3 is our highest benchmarking service award level. Benchmarking service level. That does have a cost associated with it, as does Tier 2. Tier 3 is basically everything, covers everything on the survey. Tier 2 is sort of a midway point, but happy to provide more information, more details there offline. Just shoot me an email, survey@vetsindexes.com, and I will get back to you. Okay, next question. Is it possible to have more than one person in the organization work on the survey? For example, HR would complete most of the survey, but we have a veteran services advocate who may have valuable input to provide on some questions. That's a fantastic question. I'm really glad you asked it. Yes, multiple people at your organization can work on this survey. It's very easy for them to do so. All you'll have to do is share the link with the different team members who will be contributing, and they will be able to fill out the survey at that link the same way that you can. And again, can be over multiple sittings. So this should make it very easy to do this as a collaborative effort. You know, if you run into any trouble with that survey link, with trying to collaborate like that, just let me know. You know, one final note on sharing the survey link, please be careful to only share it internally. Do not share your survey link with external organizations, because obviously you don't want those organizations to see your survey responses, and you want this to just be an internal operation. If you know of other organizations that should fill out the survey, please let me know. We would be happy to have them fill it out, but we will get them a separate link, different from yours, that does not include your answers. So with that, it is now 12:04. We've been going for about 35 minutes. I seem to be out of questions. If anyone else has any last questions they'd like me to answer, please put them in the chat now. And failing that, I will return the rest of the time to everybody. I really appreciate you all taking the time to learn more about this. If you have any additional questions, again, please don't be shy about emailing me, survey@vetsindexes.com. Again, the deadline to turn in your Vets Indexes Employer Awards 2022 survey is January 31st. So I hope you all are able to do so. And thank you so much for joining us. This concludes the Vets Indexes Employer Awards explanatory webinar #1. Thank you.